Today we have another quick start, with everyone deploying a land for turn, and passing all the way back to Tom. Tom is then first to start off the action with a Sulphur Falls and a Loyal Apprentice, whose hasty ability allows him to go at Extra. After that, he passes. Extra plays a Hengegate Pathway, then casts a Scholar of New Horizons, having it enter with a counter before passing to Sam. Sam plays a Thornspire Verge, followed by a Simic Signet, while John does the same, playing a Swamp and a Talisman of Dominance to round out his turn. Tom plays a Forest, then casts his commander, PIA Nalaar, Chief Mechanic, and goes to combat, triggering Apprentice to make a Hasty Thopter, which goes at Extra, while the Apprentice is sent at Sam. PIA triggers to gain 2 energy, one of which is used in the end step to make a 1/1 vehicle before giving the turn to Extra. Extra first activates his Scholar, removing a counter to fetch up a tapped Meticulous Archive, surveilling a card to the top. He plays a Glacial Fortress, followed by a Psychic Frog, and a pass. Sam already misses his first land drop, but tries to keep up, casting both a Talisman of Curiosity and a Farseek, finding a tapped Hedge Maze, which surveils a card to the graveyard. After that, he gives the turn over to John. John simply plays a Swamp and taps out for a Graveborn Muse, before passing back to Tom. Tom plays a tapped Hedge Maze, surveilling to the graveyard, then casts a Chief of the Foundry, using it to crew his vehicle. Next he tries to go to combat, but is stopped by Extra, and he swords the Plowshares, exiling PIA. Having lost his commander, Tom sends his Apprentice at Sam, and Thopter plus vehicle at Extra, before passing the turn. Extra plays a Gaia Reed Sanitarium, followed by his commander, Hashaton, Scarab's Fist. He goes to combat, sending both Frog and Scholar at Tom, triggering Frog to draw, after which the turn is passed to Sam. Sam continues to miss his land drop, this time casting a Talisman of Impulse, followed by his commander, Saheeli, Radiant Creator. With nothing else to do, he gives the turn to John. On John's upkeep, Muse triggers, losing 1 life and drawing a card. He plays a Vault of Champions and casts both a Crowded Crypt plus Heartless Raider, before sending his Muse at Extra and passing the turn back to Tom. Tom plays a Bark Channel Pathway, then recasts his commander, PIA Nalaar, Chief Mechanic, going straight to combat, triggering Apprentice to make a Thopter, and crewing the vehicle with PIA. 1 Thopter is sent at Sam, another Thopter at Extra, while the vehicle goes at John. PIA then triggers to get 6 energy, 5 of which is used in the end step to make a new 5/5 vehicle. Once the ability resolves, Extra activates his Frog, discarding Mondrak, Glory Dominus, triggering Hashaton to make a tapped 4/4 copy, while giving the Frog a counter. Extra plays a Swamp, and once again activates his Frog, this time discarding Teysa Karlov, triggering Hashaton to make a tapped copy, while giving Frog another counter. He goes to combat, attacking Sam with his Frog and John with Mondrak. This then triggers Frog to draw, before passing the turn to Sam. Continuing his landless streak, Sam casts a Cyclops Superconductor, triggering its effect to gain 3 energy. Next he goes to combat, triggering Saheeli to make a 5/5 copy of Cyclops, triggering its effect to make another 3 energy. The copy is then sent at Extra, followed by a second main Royal Cartograph, and the sacrifice of the copy on end of turn, triggering its effect to deal 5 to Teysa. On John's upkeep, Muse triggers, losing 2 life and drawing 2 cards. He plays a Swamp, then pays 1 life to cast a Diregraph Captain. Once in play, he goes to combat, sending both Muse and Rider at Extra. In his second main, he casts a Plague Belcher, putting 2 -1/-1 counters on Muse, before giving the turn back to Tom. Tom first casts an Amped Raptor, gaining 2 energy, then using 3 to cast a Gear Upper Gearcrafter, who makes a Thopter when it enters. Next, he crews both his vehicles, using Gearcrafter and Raptor, then goes to combat, triggering Apprentice to make a Thopter. He sends his 5/5 vehicle at John, 3 Thopters at Extra, and a 1/1 vehicle at Sam, but is met by an unwanted remake from John, destroying PIA. The damage then goes through, with Tom then casting a Whirler Virtuoso, getting 3 energy, and going to his end step, where Extra activates his frog, discarding a Knight of the White Orchid, triggering Hashaton to make 2 tapped copies. Extra plays an island, and activates Frog, this time to gain flying. He goes to combat, attacking John with the Frog, and Tom with 2 Knights and Mondrak. Frog also triggers to draw a card before passing the turn. Sam plays a tapped Commercial District, triggering Royal to get an energy, and District to surveil to the graveyard. He casts a Stone Idol Generator, triggering Saheeli to get another energy, followed by an attack at Extra with Saheeli, triggering Stone Idol to generate yet another energy. After all that, he gives the turn to John. On John's upkeep, Muse triggers, losing 4 life and drawing 4 cards. He plays a tapped Rafine's Tower, then first casts a Corpse Knight, followed by paying 1 life to cast his commander, Temmet, Naktamun's Will, triggering Corpse to make each opponent lose 1. Next is combat, where John sends his whole army at Tom, triggering Temmet to draw, discard, and give each zombie +1/+1. Tom then blocks the Muse with his Thopter and Manifest, triggering Belcher to make each opponent lose 1, Crypt to get a counter, Captain to make Tom lose 1, Rider to make a zombie, and finally Corpse to once again make each opponent lose 1. Once everything is settled, he hands the turn back to Tom. Tom first crews both his vehicles with the Manifest and Virtuoso, then goes to combat, sending the 5/5 vehicle at Extra, while the 3 Thopters and 1/1 vehicle go at John. Not wanting to die just yet, Extra responds with a Sanitarium activation, followed by an unwanted remake, taking down the lethal 5/5 vehicle. In his second main, Tom casts a Whirler Rogue, making 2 Thopters, plays a tapped Ketria Triumph, and passes the turn. Extra plays a Deserted Beach, then activates his Frog to discard Fibbleflip the Lost, triggering Hashaton to make 2 tapped copies, and both Fibbleflips to draw 2. Next he discards Claim Jumper, again making 2 tapped copies, before discarding Talisman to get a final counter, and exiling 3 cards to get flying. With everything in place, he goes to combat, attacking John with his Frog, and Tom with 2 Knights and Mondrak. Tom keeps his life total high, using Raptor, Gearcrafter, and the Manifest to block all 3 of the attackers. John then dies to the Frog, that triggers drawing Extra a card before giving the turn to Sam. Sam starts his turn by paying 2 life to cast a Phyrexian Metamorph, having it enter as a copy of Mondrak, triggering Saheeli to make an energy. He then plays a Riverglide Pathway, triggering Royal to make another energy, followed by a move to combat, triggering Saheeli to make 2 copies of Cyclops, triggering both to add a total of 6 energy. Everything is then sent at Extra, triggering Stone Idol 5 times to add a further 5 energy. Unable to survive the onslaught, Extra dies, with both Cyclops copies dying in the end step, triggering their effects to deal a total of 10 damage to Tom, taking him out, and claiming his place atop the energy throne.